Alright, well, this is new to me. Never seen one do this before. I've seen the sloppy shifter issues that you get on these Chevrolets, but I have never seen one shear off. Okay, so that mounting tab is there. The other one, excuse my poor videoing abilities here, but that mounting tab there is completely gone. If you can't see what I'm looking at, that one, gone. The mounting bracket that mounts to the inside of the column is sheared off there. This is where your little ball dude would ride there, and that would allow it to shift in and out of all the gears you need. So anyways, so we thought we were gonna just be able to rebuild this, but then once I noticed that this piece is broken, this is not a serviceable part. So we are going to replace the entire column with another used unit. And so pause for a second here and I'll show you that used unit. Alright, so she's getting upgraded from being a Chevrolet to a good old GMC today. So actually surprisingly good condition leather steering wheel here. All of the components here on the column look to be in good shape. There's no slack in the shifter. I mean, very little, but that's just going to be in park there. That's normal. But yeah, so everything looks like it's a complete unit. Even comes with a set of GM keys, or GM key rather. Not really sure if we're going to keep the ignition switch, if there's going to be a pat to relearn, or what's going to be up on this. I'm not the Chevrolet guy that a lot of you guys probably are. By the way, I don't know if this is a common thing for these, but I went to pull this thing out and it was like 85% of it's already cracked. So there's just a last little bit holding it together there, but man, I was super cautious trying to pull it apart. But anyways, I don't know if that's a common thing for you Chevrolet guys to deal with, but here's what we're dealing with. I'm gonna attempt to pull this out. I got an assortment of some tools here. I don't really know exactly what tools are required to do this job, but I primarily work on imports, but today we're going to be working on a Chevrolet. So bear with me as I probably am going to use improper terminology for a Chevrolet. But yeah, anyways, we're going to go out there to the engine bay, disconnect the steering shaft, which I'm assuming they call the intermediate shaft. Most vehicles they do. I don't know what they call it on Chevrolets. Anyways, bear with me. I'll prop this thing up and we'll get rocking and rolling. Alright, well, as I get in here to take loose the steering shaft rather, I noticed that I saw some brake fluid built up around the wiring harness that runs directly above the steering column, or steering shaft rather. And I am going to remove the brake master cylinder from the booster so that I can then see if it has the typical Chevrolet seal that's bad between the booster and master cylinder. And then let the customer know that it looks like it's leaking brake fluid from the bottom of the booster. So chances are it will need both units replaced, but that will be for a later date. We are just going to focus on the steering column for now. I just want to be able to get better access to the column bolt. I realize I could get around it, but for viewing purposes it'll make it easier. Plus it'll make it easier being that I work by myself. Primarily, it'll make it easier for me to stab and get the steering column back in place, aligned with the steering shaft. So anyways, enough dilly-dallying, enough talk. Let's get this. Let's get this baby unbolted here. Typically they just like to slide on back. This one's being a little stubborn. Okay. Cannot tell from that angle if it is leaking. It's not wet on the back side here. So maybe I'm incorrect on my assumption here. Oh man. terrible view. I apologize. That may get edited. Let me try to regroup here and reset my camera somewhere. All right. Maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. I'm not really sure, but either way, we're gonna keep moving forward. You see all this? It's all wet with what looks like brake fluid. So, it's somewhat typical for a Chevrolet that they leak from the master cylinder into the booster, and then it starts rusting out the bottom of the booster, and you have to replace both units. That appears to be what's going on here. However, it does have a cover that goes between the booster and master cylinder, so I'm not able to actually see inside of it. I realized that I could take this vacuum line off and then inspect it. I'm not super concerned about that right now. The primary focus is going to be to just gain better access to the steering shaft so that I can get this job finished for my customer, and then I can certainly revisit this. But for now, we're just going to try to get this greasy, grimy harness up out of our way a little ways. So that I can then get to the steering shaft. Let's see here. Oop, excuse me, I didn't mean to hit the button. Steering shaft bolt is out. Intermediate shaft bolt, whatever. There we go. All right, I'm learning as we go here, guys. But so don't cut my head off in the comments here. But let's see. Let's take this stuff on the inside. Probably going to need a deeper 15mm socket in order to get the unit to drop down. Let me figure out what the best plan of attack is going to be for this unit here, and I will be back. Alright, so next step for me at least, and again I'm learning as I go here, is going to be, this was just kind of hanging there. We're going to go ahead and disconnect the vent from there. Set that dude off to the side, and then these should be some 7mm here. We're going to take these two 7s out. Assuming this comes down. Okay, there may be more. Maybe more bolts holding that, I'm not sure. Yeah, it appears that there's more holding it, and that's okay. So, let's see what we got next. Oh my goodness, the whole... No, that does just come out. Alright, she's stout. She's taut like a targa. Okay. Out of the way there, and then we are going to get this cover off here, which is already partially hanging. For whatever reason. This truck is in nice shape, but somebody maybe prior to me has already been in this thing. I don't know. I figured this button would just come right off, but maybe it does not. See if we're held in there with a screw. No, all the screws are removed. Alright, so we're going to start with go ahead and probably should have got a better clip here, but oh, no, I got it. Pull this clip out here. It's just going to fall on the floor. Move that out of the way. And then going up here, I'm gonna remove this shaft here. Looks like it just pops off. It does, it just pops off. Okay. And then let's try to get some focus. There we go. And then this cable, in theory, maybe you have to squeeze. Yeah, you got to squeeze it. Okay. So I'll go get something to squeeze that with, but down inside here, get some better focus there. So down in here, there's going to be 2 tabs, top and bottom. You're going to need to squeeze that, and then the shaft, you should just be able to whoop, slide it on out. Get the shift shaft cable, or just shift cable, I guess would probably be the proper terminology there. Anyways, we're gonna get that removed, and then we will move on to something else. All right, so just so we're clear, this cable, you can use you pull the little clip out, you unsnap it from the top up here, off the shift linkage, and then once you've got those 2 tabs, you're gonna have to squeeze. So those 2 tabs, they're a little tricky to get out because you're in kind of confined area. So what I found that worked for me was I have these little push clip style removal pliers. So I use that for the top side. I kind of just went in here, something like, let's see if I can manage to do this while I'm messing on the phone here. Alright, so I went in there something like that, and I got the top one with this, and then well, before I did the top one, I went into the bottom like this and just kind of pushed up on the bottom tab and then held it at an angle so that it would keep that lower tab released. And then I reached in from the top, squeezed the top, gave it a little bit of a, it was a little tricky, but anyways, you do that, then it slides out. Then you got this dude out of your way completely. Now it unclips from the bottom side of the column down here, just like that, which you really can't see at all on the camera here. I apologize. Let's get this out of the way. Let's lay it on the floor over here out of the way. And then, so there's a big bundle of wiring harness off to the side over here. I'm gonna see if I can arrange the camera to where you can see me undo that. And then, yeah, anyways, we'll keep plugging away. Okay, so a step that I left out that needs to be certainly done, or needs to be followed rather, is going to be the battery needs to be disconnected because there is a obvious airbag in the steering wheel. So you just need to undo the lock, safety. Once the battery is unplugged, of course, pull down the tab there and then release this dude here, which a lot of times these are come out easy, but sometimes when the camera's watching, they don't. So, being I'm working with one hand here, let me put the camera down here, and then we will try to undo this one. Once again here, bear with me for a second. Okay, let's see how bad this thing's gonna make me look here. Typically you can just pull the tab and separate them. Yeah, like that. All right, and then, so the next thing is going to be, which you really can't see from this angle because this bar is right in front of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to need looks like about a 6.5 inch extension. Well, it's not technically a 6.5 inch extension. It's actually, let me get some light on the subject here. So this is actually a Matco deep. It's probably 3.5, 4 inches or whatever, and then you got a 2.5 inch extension here. And you're gonna come through the front right through here. Let me pick the camera up here and see if I can get you set up better so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I can see it. Let's see. I don't know if this is gonna work well or not. It's a trial and error here, so bear with me. Yeah, it looks like you would go right through there. And I'm not sure you can even see what the heck I'm even doing, so let's see if I can. My goodness. There's a bolt down inside there, okay. That is what opens up, that is what disconnects the harness. There's a main connection there for the harness, so you undo that bolt there and you separate the harness, and then all we were gonna have left then is the 4 mounting bolts that mount the column to the chassis, and we're ready to pull this girl out. So Bear with me while I disconnect that. Hang on just a second here.